All right, what's up, guys? So we are back. Got a couple things to talk about today. Put a video out a little while back about the Guilty Gear Strive news that just came out. So it wasn't too exciting. They were talking about the single-player content, and I mentioned in the video, and there were a lot of people in the comments too that were like, single-player content's important. Thank you for saying that. Not that it's like my idea or anything, but I figured, you know, this is worth making its own video about. So single-player content in fighting games, and this is something I never really, you know, I didn't feel passionate about until a certain game release. What game is that? You might already know. Boom. Street Fighter 5. So this game, you love it or you hate it pretty much. I don't think anyone's like in the middle there on Street Fighter 5. But something about this game is that it turned into a pretty good game now, right? After what, 5-6 years? Yeah, it's 5 years, huh? So it's had seasons, it's had updates, a lot of content added to it. So a lot of problems, but if you weren't around for vanilla Street Fighter 5, this game was horrible. The launch of this game was an absolute shit show. It was terrible. It launched with like nothing. There was no content. There was nothing at all. All it had was net play pretty much, and the net play was terrible. Like I'm talking like early on vanilla, right? The servers were terrible. People teleporting around looking like JoJo or something, like something in the world and everything. But during that time, there was a little bit of debate that made me very, very upset, and it was from the FGC players. Again, Logan Sama. I always got to bring up Logan Sama because he's the one that sticks out in my head. But it was from people in the FGC saying, like, who cares about single-player content, right? They're like, if the game has training mode, and it's got versus mode, and it's got net play, that's all you need. Nobody cares about single-player content. There were a lot of people in the FGC that were kind of like trying to defend Street Fighter 5 with that mindset. That is 10,000% false. That is absolutely false. Single-player content in fighting is super important, right? If you look at the amount of copies of a game that gets sold, like, what was it? Street Fighter 5 has sold millions of copies, right? Tekken sold millions of copies. But then you go on net play, you know, a couple hundred, maybe the big games get like a couple thousand people playing. Single-player content is huge for the people that buy the game and just go in it. So for this video, I'm already talking too much. I just want to reminisce, man. Just an old man thinking about the good old days before net play. So I was a kid, of course, you know, no net play and no friends that really played the game. So I grew up on single-player content. Any game I bought, I was like, man, what kind of single-player content do they have? What kind of modes do they have? Shit was mad fun. So let's look at a couple ones. I want to hear your guys' favorite, of course, like always. But let me just share some. So right off the bat, I want to start with Street Fighter Alpha 3, the World Tour mode. Was this one of the first ones? Is it? I can't, you know, everything is a blur from back then because I'm pretty damn old. But I feel like this might have been the first game that I really remember that had like this super sick single player mode right here. So World Tour mode is kind of like it describes. You travel around the world, it's like Asia, Europe, I think like America, somewhere else, I don't know. And there's different stages, and you basically just fight. You know, you fight different enemies. They had like survival. It wasn't always the same though, right? So this mission is going to be like a time attack. This mission is going to be 2 against 1. This mission you can only do like jumping attacks. So it all like, you know, the little prerequisites for every battle. And after you won the battle, you got points to level up your character. You got skills. You could customize your character, make your own like Vism and everything. Like that was super sick. And that was mad long ago. I was in what, high school, middle school when that game came out. But I remember playing this game like crazy. And also this. I was asking the streamer, I was like, hey, what was the name of that little thing, that little PlayStation thing? They said, the kids were like, the PSP, Juno. The memory card. People don't remember the Pocket Station. I bought the Pocket Station. That might have been the biggest waste of money I've ever spent in my life. But I bought the Pocket Station for Alpha 3. Saga Frontier, one of the Saga Frontiers had it. There was a Final Fantasy game that had it. Was it Chocobo Dungeon? I forget. But like the World Tour mode, single player content, you could link your Pocket Station to there as well. I remember doing that too. That shit was crazy. But yeah, all right. So that's one of them. Another one, this one I actually played the shit out of. So Virtua Fighter 4, I screwed around with Virtua Fighter my whole life, but Virtua Fighter 4 Evo, I've said it before. I'm sure you've heard other people in the FGC say before. This game was amazing. So not just the game engine, Virtua Fighter 4 was way ahead of its time when it came out. So the training mode, the tutorial mode was so advanced, fully translated in English. It told you everything from, you know, the very basics of like super like how to input like multiple throw breaks at the same time, like option selecting, things like that. It taught you character specific matchups. You could watch pros fight and it would tell you like what they were doing and everything. It was ridiculous. And again, this is super goddamn old. So I remember doing all the training mode, but once I learned how to play the game, you go into quest mode. what's so cool about this mode is that you visited real arcades. So you went to real arcades in Japan, around Japan, and in those arcades, you fought, players, like made-up players, but then the final boss would be a real player. So this game featured ghosts. So you guys know Fudo, right? Fudo is like Street Fighter V, very famous for that, but he's originally a Virtua Fighter player. Even back in the day, he's already one of the best players in the world. So you can watch Fudo. He's in this game. Fudo's ghost is in this game. So he's one of the bosses here in the arcades. And so it's not just beating up people. Of course, you need to get rewards, right? That's what makes things fun, is having some sort of reward. So in quest mode, you unlock items. So, like Tekken has it too with customization. Quest mode's like that too. You unlock, whatever stupid stuff, like a sunglass or something. The coolest one was the glowing wristbands. That was like the high-tech one. But, go to arcades, travel around Japan, visit the arcades, win items, customize your character. Again, this is like 20 years old. It was super sick. All right, keep going. This one's just a fair mention because this is not even a fighting game. You guys, I bet this popped in some people's head right off the bat. Air Guys, this is not a fighting game, though. A lot of people categorize Air Guys as a fighting game. This was not a fighting game. Nobody played this game. Nobody played Air Guys as a fighting game. Nobody did. This is an adventure game that had maybe like some weird fighting game aspect to it on the side. But Air Guys 1 and Air Guys 2 were like full-blown. They had quest mode. This shit was like a full-blown RPG. It looked like Vagrant Story, right? You go down in the dungeon, you get items. Look at the my dude's got a little knife and a shield. You get magic spells, you can get guns and everything. It was awesome. If you don't know that game, if you're a new player, you never heard of it, look it up. It's really interesting. Air Guy. The thing that sold the game, like nobody cared about it, but it was made by Squaresoft, so they threw in Cloud, Tifa, Sephiroth. Was Vincent in it? That was during peak FF7 popularity, so like mad people bought. I bought the game too, just to play as them and quest mode. But again, the single player mode, this was crazy. It was its own game. Oh, Zach was in the game. So these are all old stuff. Actually, let me go one more old one. I said Alpha 3 would be my first, but this was my first. Edgemaster mode. In the original Soul Edge, this mode was so good. And again, this is something that, like, back in the day, we didn't have NetPlay, and I had 2 friends that played this game, but once I started learning how to play, they wouldn't play me anymore. I got too good. I sound like a boomer, but no. I knew how to do like a mid-low mix-up, basically, and a throw. I knew mid mix-up, low mix-up, and throw, and I understood that, and then no one could beat me. So I ended up playing by myself a lot in the Edgemaster mode. What made this mode so cool, again, it's kind of like the Alpha 3, where you have like different missions. Like this mission you start at low health, this one you can't block. But what made it so cool is that you got different weapons that had different stats. You see it right there, but it's not just stats. They had different actual skins in the game. The best one is you get I forget what it's called. You get an invisible sword that was like full screen. That shit was actually full screen. So like, blah, 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 full screen. You can't see the blade. There's no blade. It's just like, you just see the cut animation. And what made it even better is that all these broken weapons you could use in versus mode. So before, back in the day when nobody knew what was like fair, what should be tournament standard, we just picked, nobody played default. You picked all the broken weapons and fought each other, and it was crazy. Some of them are crazy. Right? Some of them were like, you can't block. One was like, yeah, you can't block, right? Even if you block, you just take the damage. It's messed up. But again, the godlike single player mode. And then let me take my favorite mode in recent games. Boom. If you've been watching Anime Illuminati for a little bit, you might remember this. Abyss mode. Persona, I don't know. Actually, I think all Arxis games have single player modes, but none of them were as fun as this. Abyss mode in BBCP. So not CF. CF is the version now. When CF came out, I was really hyped. I was like, Abyss mode, let's go, stream. Abyss mode, Abyss mode, Abyss mode. It's not good. CP was the best Abyss mode. It's godlike. So Abyss mode, you kind of go down in the dungeon. You travel around here. But as you win, you unlock, like there, you see Lucky Puncher, ESF, Perseverance. I don't know if this is, I forget what this was. But the thing is, the items you could get were wild. A move that makes your ground dash like a full screen teleport. You get like triple air dashes. I forget. You can get moves that like they can't block your super. You get moves that whenever you burst, you get 100 meter. It's adding all these like really fun additions to the game. And then not just for you, also for the enemies, right? You would fight some bosses that are like, that boss is broken. Like there's no way I can beat that boss. So you have to go level up, find some broken combination. It's very flexible, right? It's very, very flexible with what you could do, and then go fight the boss. And again, like I always said, I mentioned it with all the other games about how changing your in-game appearance, you get cool effects in this mode that you could only get in this mode. You could have like a rainbow aura around, you could have like a gold aura around you to like show off your skills. It's pretty goddamn sick. But again, I played that, I streamed that a bunch, I did all that stuff. But again, that's it. There's way more. Tekken, we talked about a little bit, like Tekken 7. Tekken 7, the quest mode, treasure mode, you know, I forget what it's called. I love that mode, right? You just fight. You fight. It's real quick. No loading. Beat a dude. Get an item. Customize. Pretty good. But then Tekken Bowling, I try to complain about it because I feel like it was a good idea. But they kind of, you know, it's offline only, so you can't play with your friends. And it was also paid. It wasn't included there. So it's not that good. You know, just reminiscing on the good old days. And so Strive is coming out. Street Fighter 6 is on the horizon. You know, these new modern fighting games that are pushing esports, right? So the thing about pushing esports is that you're kind of pushing, you know, multiplayer. And not that that's it's not a bad thing, of course. You know, I'm a fighting game player. I want to play people. I want net play to be good. I want to be able to play serious matches, but you can't ignore single player content, and especially if you're in FGC, like basically this is a message. If use your brain, like just use your brain, okay? You understand the FGC, the competitive. If you're watching this stream, you're a very small minority of the amount of people that play and buy the games. So single player content is super important. But like always, thank you. If you're still watching, share with me your memories. Let's be old fighting game players now. What single player mode did you grind growing up before the net play era took over and now everyone is too sweaty and only wants to play online? But like always, thank you. See you next one. Peace.